Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and I'm GM Le here, and today we will continue the recap of my World Rapid and Bliss Championship, which actually finished nearly a month ago, but as I mentioned in the last part, only now I was able to, make the recap. I was pretty busy last month due to, getting a bit under the weather. And so, yeah, a bit busy with the preparation for Lunar New Year. So, once again, actually, no, I don't know why I say that. I want to say thank you to you guys who loved my first part, and I did read some of your feedback about my first video. So I really hope that the second video right here will be more instructive, or at least will be more fun for you guys to watch, right? So here, this one, second part of the recap will be about the second day of the rapid event. So this one contain like 4 games, and this is day 2 rapid, right? So 4 games, game 6 to game 9, and I can tell you this day was very eventful. A very memorable day, in fact. Not because of something very cool happening. It was just like a ridiculous day. You will understand why though. The day contained like missing chances in game 6, the first and the only loss in rapid for me in game 7, a completely losing position turned into a winning games in game 8, and also slightly weaker and winning in game 9 as well. That's something says. And that's why I will trying to tell about like all the 4 games today. I think not like so in depth, but we'll try to cover them in somewhat in detail. So let's go. As you can see on the screen here, so in the first game 6 of day 2, so we got GM Ziganko Sergey from Belarus. I think you can know him from Chess.com or Lichess. To be honest, we have played plenty of times via 2 sites. So, after 5 games, we both have 3 out of 5 for me, so I have 4 draws and 1 win against Galvan, which you could watch again in the first recap. So, let's go to game 6. E4, C5, C3. This one, obviously, it is his pedlar and what he always play against me. This one, knight f6, e5, knight d5, knight f3, e6. I can also play here as well. You can also play here, you can play here, play here. There are many things here, but I think this move I play should be the most natural, e6. d4, sorry, should c4 in the game. d6, you can also play here as well, or here too. But this is the main line thing. d4, takes, e7, castles, knight here is also playable as well, but at home I did prepare something for him. The thing, is that he mainly play this kind of stuff, so I did have some prep before going to the playing hall. But sadly, it didn't really give me anything very special. Back to the game. Castles, e1, b6. This line is a relatively rare variation. The main line here I think should be like knight c6, and then queen e2, and then bishop d7, and then a3, or like queen e4, I forget, but that is some kind of big different line here. But what I play is a bit different. I chose to fianchetto my bishop to b7, controlling this diagonal, and put my knight on d7. If I were able to do that, like let's say bishop d2 for instance, bishop b7 here, so knight c3 I can take, and if something happen here, so I have no trouble at all. This is nice. So that's why in the game he took on d5 instantly. Although he need to part with the bishop pair, this one give him the chance to attack on my double pawn in the center. e d5, knight c3, bishop e6 here, this somehow needs to be played. Bishop b7 looks quite natural, but I think it can allow something like bishop f4. And the bishop here somehow is not in the best square available. Also, he can even try like e6, you know. And then my double pawn here looks pretty, you know, stupid. So in the game, bishop e6 here, which is still following the prep. Bishop f4, e6 here, h3. So now I can equalize instantly by d5, which in the game I underestimate that. So here, this, and queen d7, and here, and black should have no trouble at all. In the game, I played rook c8 first, queen d2. Once again, it is still fine, but in the game I had a different idea in mind, so I played something else. Queen d7. I will say this is not bad. You can see the engine still think it is roughly equal, right? But it leads to a position where in fact black needs to be a bit careful. d5 is much simpler though, since that kind of thing you still can retain your bishop here, which is different to the game. Continuation. Take here, text. So now what happened? I don't have the bishop pair for black anymore, and my bishop a6 looks a bit weak, right? Knight e5. In the game, I play knight e5. What I can tell you here about my thinking process is that I know taking here is probably fine, and this one I play f6, I drop here, but as you can see here, if someone who can play for a win, that's only white, right? Who got a pretty good knight, and he controlled e5 as well. So in the game, I play knight e5, looking for some kind of play this way. b3, he prevent that. a6, I stop knight b5 and planning to go like here and here. Obviously, c7 earlier, allow knight b5 with a fork. So a6 here, I played this move pretty fast. Rook c1, b7, knight e2, rook c1. Now this move should be wrong, since I'm a bit worried about text here and a knight f4, and suddenly white can have a pretty annoying attack to our king side. So in the game, I play rook c1 first, rook c1 here and f6. Get his knight away, d3, come knight home. Here, in the game, he trade queens. To be honest, at this point, I already know I'm fine. Although it can be seen on the board that he can try to attack in the c file, but rook c8 is always available. And this one here is not working since I can defend with this way. And the queen c3 rook c8 as well. And I don't have any big, I think, weakness in this position. In the game, he tried trade queens, queen f4. Take here will be wrong since he can take with the knight df4, and then my pieces are very hanging. So queen d7, queen g3, rook c8, knight 4, bishop f7. At this point, I was already fine in the game, so he tried the only way available, I think, to go for an initiative. He tried queen g4. If you didn't try that, I can play like knight e7 or e5, and then black will be absolutely fine. In the game, so queen g4 was played. I took here, king f8, bring the king out in the endgame is almost a good option. f3, king e7, king f2, g6. This move is pretty safe. I can play here right away, but in the game I was worried about h1 and then bishop g8, knight h5. But it should be fine, objectively speaking. In the game, so I have different idea in mind. g6, king e3, d6. The engine want to go for the g5 right away, which probably works. But I don't know, in the game, I was a bit worried about like f4. You can try to open up something in the king side, but apparently the engine doesn't seem to be so happy with that. In the game, so king here right away, d6, d2, e8, bring the rook to the e file. Which one? g8, knight 3, b4, putting pressure on his a2 pawn. Knight c3, back home, knight e2 before the end. At this point, this is somewhat like, I would say, a sullen draw offer. If you play here, I would repeat, I think so. And need to defend the pawn on d4. So knight e2 obviously need to be played by him. But he didn't want to fall for a draw, obviously. That's why he played in the game g5. I can take on a2, but I was not so sure. That's why I played the move g5 first. g5, e7, defending the pawn. c3, again. Knight e2, again. I was pretty fine with the draw right here, since I knew I didn't really have any real play and things to attack at this point of the game. c3, here again, rook h4. As I mentioned earlier, he wants to beat me at this point, so he still tried to avoid the repetition. b5, rook f4, e8. He wants to go rook here or here, starting the invasion. That's why this move is, I think, safest, since it just prevents him from playing rook f8 at the same time. So I can go king d7 against the check and f6, and so should be fine. And then gives rook h4 again as one here and here. Checks d7, knight 2. He tried to go knight 4 and look for some activities. I can just say here that during the game at this point, I was a bit worried. I was down in time a little bit. If I remember correctly, so at this point, he had around 2 minutes, and for me it should be like 1 minute and like 30 seconds, something like that. By the way, it's getting quite cold here, so I need to get a jacket behind me. Okay, better now. So in game a6 here, I want to chase his knight away, which I feel is so annoying. So now my main idea is like knight h3, I play rook e6, and here play here again. This one take the bishops. If you play rook f8, play here again. But obviously the engine think that white can still look for initiatives. But what I can mention right here is that this is totally not easy at all. I think it should still be fine, but I think I need to defend for sure, since in my camp there are plenty of holes, as you can see on the screen. In the game, here, knight 7, take here right away, takes e7, f6, here again. I don't see this move here. If you play this, knight 4, I play this one, and then I'm fine. Since take here, I take pawn d4, we should be completely equal. And obviously, he still push to win. f7, e7 again, f8, g5. Now knight 4 is no longer available. Should be completely okay. Wait, a5. So a5, I will say, is a mistake. I realized that after looking at the engine of the game. Knight c3 now suddenly is playable. In the game, I only consider knight d4, but I think I just took rook a5. If you play king here, you can play something like b4, and now rook here or like this one will be very annoying, especially when I have no counterplay at all. In the game, you make mistakes. a5, rook h8, b6. Rook here again, rook checks, king e6. Rook b7. This is wrong. The thing, I believe that he just thought, okay, he can try to swing the rook to the 7th rank, gain some more time on the clock, and force me to find defense. But in fact here, I found a pretty nice trick that, I guess in a blitz game, it might probably got him. e7. Why this is the move? The idea here is that if you play rook b5, right? You just take here, and then we can win back the rook with a fork. And if you play here, I play here as well, and so on again, right? And up here, his rook actually is even trapped. In the game, he realized that. So takes g4 here, and then we will start a very long maneuver. I think out here for me a draw here, but I decline. I thought like, okay, it probably is a draw, but I have some chance to like use my knight to invade and try to trick him a little bit. Like here, here, or here, for instance, right? That's why I decline draw. Maybe 5, okay. We'll just move quickly here since this part is a bit strange. King e7, I decline repetition. King d7, knight e8. Mr. King e8 here, you can see, right? Some useless knight move. d6 here again, knight c8, and knight e6 here. In the game, he messed it up. King e7. So here, I had no threats, but he was down in time, so suddenly he played knight e2. So now I suddenly got this chance. See here, right? Suddenly, my knight can invade here, so I have some more chance. In fact, the engine still thinks it's equal, but now wanted to go for some forcing moves. King here, forcing, knight f6, f3 defend the pawn, knight e4. Finally, black was able to invade, right? And in the game, king e3, which once again is pretty precise. King f6 here, king f3, knight c3, knight c1, and h5. This is the only chance for me now to crack his defense, and now in fact he is quite in Zugzwang, I think so. So in the game, he tries one, take an h5, takes here, king g3, knight e4 checks, king s6 here, win a pawn. Here, king here, this actually is a wrong move. I think king e4 is what the engine will look to me to play, win a pawn on d4 here, but I was a bit worried since, you know, his pawn here looked pretty good, right? So I played this one, king e6, d3, here, and knight a5. I think this is the best chance I can have here to win the game. Something like king h5. In the game, I was so down in time. I think at this time, both of us had around only 10 seconds left. So I see this move here, and I was a bit worried. But I don't realize that I have this knight here who can support the attack pretty nicely. The knight h5, you know. And then here, play king h4, and suddenly we can be able to promote, I think, very, very soon. Here, and the knight here, and then like king h3, and then the queen e6. But in the game, I was down in time, so now I play knight e4, and it leads to a draw by force. Knight e5 here, this one, and obviously I missed this fork, but the result is never in doubt. So a draw, and a draw. So this game is the longest game of the round. I think it lasted for around 1 hour and 25 minutes. As you can see here, the game is fairly equal. My opponent has some chances, and he couldn't use that like to rhyme me. I have some big chance in the end game, but I also missed that as well. So I guess the draw here, you know, should be a decent result. Okay, so now let's move to game 7. And this game is a tough one. Okay, somehow now the screen is loading here, so 1 second. I'm trying to fix it a little bit. Yeah, I think the screen is not reloading right here. I can see the thing. So 1 second. This game is the game I met Ralph Mamedov, but I think the engine is not loading it well. So, okay, I will show you the things from this browser right here. You can see, right? We met GM Ralph Mamedov from Azerbaijan, if I was not mistaken. I think it should be correct there. Okay, now it works. Finally. So, this also was the longest game of the round. I need to defend for a very, very long moments, but suddenly it doesn't come something good for me. This is my only loss of the rapid event, and this is like the only loss for me in the second day of the rapid event. So here I will say that in the opening we are fine. I think we have a relatively playable positions. My opponent tried this, I will say, pretty rare line where black he give up the center, but he got the, I think, semi-open e-file. Also his bishop here looks pretty good in the game, so I guess I was playing a bit slow. At some point I only had 2 minutes against his like 8 minutes. In fact, Playing slow is one of the things that happens to me badly this event. It happened to me, I think, like game 6, game 7, game 8, game 9 as well, like in the whole day 2. I think in day 10 should be like 1 or 2 more games as well, where I play slower, but then at time scramble, in time scramble, I got some chances to mess the game up in the game. So here, I take here, g5, push the pawn, g5, and g4. So at this point, I still remember my calculation. What I can still remember right now is that in the game, I spent around 2 minutes to calculate this line. This, e5, 95. So take here, and they take here, and then this one, you get queen b6. This one. I spent a long time on this one, which obviously doesn't work well at all. You can see, right? I think now I drop a piece, or at least some material. e5 here probably is fine though. Also, I think he can play knight h5, which I think is even better. Knight h5, you know. Here, so this one. Okay, I think here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. So I just simply refrain from playing this. The engine still claim that white is better after like queen d3, but for me it looks so strange. I guess the thing here can be the take here and then d5, and for me, black looks fine. In the game, I try queen d3, knight h5, d1, a5. If I remember correctly at this point, I only had around 4 minutes, while Ruff still had around 10 minutes on his clock. b3, defend upon b2 in advance, queen b8, take here, knight e2. In the game, the engine still think e5 is fine. I don't know. Once again, I'm not really sure about that. You can see here, I mean, I am not happy with this position at all. Although the engine think that white is better, but I love this card prince for black. The bishop here looks pretty good, and knight 2 can remember like c5 for instance. I don't know. The engine have this idea of like going this way, but I'm not really sure if that is really powerful or not. Also, the pawn e5 looks quite weakening, right? In the game, knight 2 was played by me. Takes with h pawn, queen here, h1, e8, f1. e5 is what the engine recommend here. Once again, the reason why I refuse that is that I still don't know if after d5 I'm fine or not. I guess the thing here is that I misevaluate the operation. f1 in the game, upon f4, b4 in the game, g4, e5, g3, c5, g2, g7, and f4. Not the best one, I guess so, but it leads to a very sharp position right now. b8, e5. The plan for me is to open up a thing here right away. So in the game, d5, g5. In the game, I did calculate like here I can play like h1, you know, or I can play knight c3, knight e4 as well. So I think there can be some, gotta play for the pawn missing. I also calculate queen g4, which I think should be the most annoying. Take here for instance, so like if you play e4, I play queen e3, so this one and then this one, and then I think this should lead to a draw here, a perpetual. In the game, he takes g5. Which one? This move suddenly was a mistake. Knight c3 is the best one here. The queen g4, I play like knight e4, and then I have a strong knight against a bad bishop. Although it's not easy, the c4 can still be a thing here, with the idea of queen here to f4. But I think for me, black should not be better here. So in the game, I think I play something wrong. I play in the game. Which one? But I must admit that I missed queen b7. That's what I missed. g1, e4. Now, as you can see here, the approach is suddenly open, right? And this looks extremely complicated. Queen e3, c4. A bad news now for us is that queen g5 allows queen to b6. And the queen can invade next and we can resign. See, right? Our king suddenly is in trouble. Okay, c4. I will go fast since we still have 2 games left. And game 8 is the game I want to spend most of the time on. Queen 6 here, queen g5, queen c4, bridge 2, and then as you can see here, I'm opening the pawn. And suddenly, black is very close to winning in the game, so my only real chance come, okay, I think here at this point. Okay, k1, rook h2, g1, rook a2, e1, okay, rook g3, h1, rook h3, with me, right? So king g1 again, f1, rook g5. At this point here, I think I misjudged the operation completely due to time scramble, and I didn't play it right. As you can see here, the rooks are very mobile, and you know it can create some kind of meeting net to my king, right? In the game, I only thought rook c7 here, which allow me to be able to maybe, like, you know, cut off his king in the back rank, so play right away. But sadly, this is a huge miscalculation since black has rook f5 and here rook a4, and all of a sudden he had a mating threat like this one. See here, right? And here. The only way to play here, I believe, is to go like rook e6 at this point. Right here, rook e6. Well, where? Okay, here it is. This one, rook e6, here, this one. And then now rook here, king g1. And then the pawn here is hanging. King f7, up rook e1 again. So there should be a row equal. I think this is fire for me. Now I must be a bit careful with his checks, but it should not come with something very special. In the game, I played wrong, and then I was down 2 pawns. And I think here he just showed great technique. I try my best to defend for another 40 moves. But sadly, you know, nothing you can do here. It took him a while to convert, obviously, but you know, the result here, I guess, you know, is always in black favor. So in the game here, I play something else, trying to use the rook swing around. He also plays something very annoying too, but at the end of the day, his king was able to swing to the queen side, and I had nothing. You can see in the game he played extremely annoying steps. His rook just defends so well, and you can see in the game here, it combined attack and defense in a very nice way. I always did defend the mid in the h file, so in the game I had no chance. So the game finished in a pretty bad way for me though. Here a4 and his pawn is pushing, and then the e pawn basically is unstoppable. So here and then resign, not waiting for the king f7, and here so king g8, and then this is next. I can resign now as well. So, first game, I lost in the event, game 7. So, after 7 games, I have like 3.5. Fairly a solid result, you know, but not the best one. Game 8, I met Terry Arian, and I just can say I was extremely lucky in this game. I would say this game is the turning point of the event. I was fully losing, and then I somehow ended up winning. So I will just like tell things in a quick way in this game here. So I believe he prepped me a little bit. Was trouble. So I was playing pretty fast here, but somehow I just take f3. I mean, I need to take on d4, and somehow I don't let this push at all. That's why I play something strange here. This is very bad. Queen f3 here and just here 93. At this point, I was already down, I think, to 8 minutes, and it already looks very good for white. In the game, e7, c4, knight b6 here, knight b5. Suddenly, I couldn't take the pawn due to the fork, and that's why I must castles b3. And now you can see, alright. Not only he has a very bishop pair, but moreover, my pieces are just suffering. You can see here, right? So that is the reason why we are in big trouble at this point already. That's what I can tell you. So this portions right here, queen e5, bishop f4 with tempo, queen b2, b1. Suddenly you have no card to play. We did here in the game, e3, b2, and he took on b1 first. Here and then knight 7. A similar tactic, we need a pawn and leads, I would say, to a completely winning position for him. Okay, so this point. Okay, I will start talking right here. Okay, here it is. So here it is. As you can see, the engine or everything is like +4 or we say +5. Very, very soon. In fact, at this point of the game, I only had around 1 minute and he had around like 8 minutes on the clock. I was already desperate right here. Like I was like, okay, this is another loss. Okay, dude. Let's play for some more moves before resigning. It's a bad game. I walk into my prep and then all I do in the game is to play some pretty sad moves. So play rook c8 here. But suddenly I will say now the miracle happened. I have no card to play at all. He can just like play like push the pawn here in the game, you see, right? h4, f4. This actually is wrong. I think bishop may just like play like take here right away is fine. Or maybe b5 is fine as well. Since you can see here, right? It doesn't lead to something special. Or we just keep pushing. In the game, all of a sudden, I think he lost his cautious. I think he lost his caution, right? I'm sorry for that. Now here in the game, and the bishop on f4 is under attack. e3, takes, and bishop e5. You can see, right? Suddenly have some card to play here. Suddenly, in the game, queen f3 was played, f8, and c6. This one doesn't lose for him, but this in fact is a bad sign that he completely missed my ideas. f5. So you can see here, right? Suddenly you have some card to play, and he must be extremely careful. Knight h4 is the first thing, f4 as well, and for instance, for c7, right? f4 can be considered, and this will lead to extremely messy position, you know. Also, as I mentioned right here, the position just changed so fast. I was losing, I have no card to play, and all of a sudden here I can play f4 and create some trouble for him. So in the game, he messed it up, and I think he just couldn't adapt to the quick change of the positions. g5 in the game, f4, g4. His ideas here is stopping bishop h4 when I show my middle, but he forget my other ideas. d6. And now this is already very annoying. The idea is simple, knight and f3, right? His king suddenly is in trouble, and his queen here is also can be chased easily as well. In the game, rook b5 was played, knight e5, takes, bishop e7, rook e8 here, c5. Okay, and rook d8. As you can see, right? Somehow, from position coming from a position where Black had no card to play to this is a huge difference, right? Suddenly, Black had own card to play, and rook d2, rook d3 can be very annoying. In the game, bishop f2 was played, queen c4, and he played the bad move here, queen e4, which leads to disastrous. Queen e4, e4 and f3. He resigned right away, which somehow is understandable, since now king g1 leads to rook d1 and then both bishop drops. And if you play bishop g3, rook d2, and also the bishop here will still drop. And you know, the pawn here are not so strong since you can defend it easily. And like it's a rook up, right? And I won the game somehow, which I can just say that I was extremely lucky here. The final game, I met GM Anton from Russia, and he is the King's Indian specialist. So we have the King's Indian here in this game. Game 9 and last game of the day. So I will say that in the game here, nothing much to say somehow. The only thing here is that we play a very long theoretical line. What you can see now on the screen is still theory. Yes, as far as still theory. Queen b4 is a bit rare, but I think queen a5 is something that probably better in the game. So here d1, but you can realize that I have nothing so serious. Queen here can lead to the pawn b2 drops, you know. You can see the engine has that. Also here I'm in the game of c1 I play rook d8, bishop f3, bring bishop to d1, c5, d1. But as you can see here, I don't have much. Somehow I was a bit worse here. And at this point I only had around 2 minutes. Again, it's like 9 minutes on the clock. So I need to suffer a little bit here on time. And I was actually having no real plan. But somehow, you know, I think he just messed it up in the game. So yeah, that's point rook d5, rook d4, g2, here b3, and I think this is the moment when he go wrong. He thought he can meet me with rook e1, but sadly he missed my ideas here. Rook d6, to say queen e4 is equal in the game. Play rook e1, rook d3 I play, and suddenly I'm fine. So see bishop d4, a4, and c4, and all of a sudden here he had no big threats, and I can rook d4 here myself. Go for this one, for instance. I can show you an example. Rook e2, for instance, right? Will this to disastrous after rook d4? Take here, rook c8. Actually, I can make queen e2 right away. This is much simpler, right? And here, and then now, and it is a mate in the back rank. See that? So suddenly in the game, I have some counterplay. Rook here was played, queen d5, e5, d7, rook here, d5. Here, d7. I was fine with a draw here, but then my opponent, he went all in, played g5, try my bishops, but sadly I can play bishop g5 here, take here, leads to the rook lost, right? But queen g6. But then play rook d4 here, let's move. Although I sacrifice an exchange, but I have 2 pawns for that, right? Play here, I got rook g4, and I think I can win with the queen. So in the game, rook e4, bishop e3, and all of a sudden here, I got so 80 pieces, right? And all of a sudden here, I'm in good shapes. The pawn a5 is very strong here, and as you can see in the game, right? I suddenly get some really good edges. Obviously, I can play b4 here, which is much better, and then pushing here, you know. But in the game, I got hasty a little bit, and somehow I let my pawn here being captured. But you know, for that, I just get 2 pawns here on h5 and c5. In the game, after a long run here in the endgame, I was able to win, you know, in the endgame with pretty nice play. I think so. You see here, right? I have 3 pawns and a bishop for the rook, which is very enough. My king is also active as well, and all of that leads to a completely manipulations. King here, c4, and s1. If you take here, I play king d5, and my king just come here, take the pawn f5, which is completely crushing. And here b5, and then my pawn just push. Right? And in the game, he resigned here, not waiting for king d5. My pawn can promote. So, a relatively long video, though. I think I just talked about the first 2 games a lot, especially the first one. So I'm very sorry for that. I think I will try to make things like a bit different in the recap number 3, which will be the last day of the rapid event. You know, obviously a thing here is that the games are unpublished already, and you know, in the recap here, I should only try to focus on the, I would say, most memorable moments of the days though. So in second day, nothing so special in terms of, you know, stories or whatever things is, but in terms of chess, it is. You know, I was once again missing a chance. Only get a draw in the 6th game. I was losing game 7 when I can go for a draw. I was losing, I mean, I was so winning in round 8, but then escaped like miraculously against Terry Arian. And game 9, I was also in trouble. But get out of that somehow. So once again, hopefully you guys enjoyed the recap, and please give me some feedbacks. Thank you for hearing, and we'll see you soon.